Hi, welcome to this lesson. So in this lesson, we are going to be looking at function expressions or anonymous functions in JavaScript. Okay. So as you already know, we already know function declarations or definitions, how those are written, right? You already know how function declarations or definitions are written. You have to give function, the keyword function here, and then you have to give a name for the function, and then you can give multiple parameters like this. It can keep going on. You can give multiple parameters, and then open your flower brackets like this, and then you can give multiple statements like this, and that can just go on as well, right? So you can do that as well. See, so multiple lines of code. So that's your function declaration. Okay, but you can write functions in a different manner as well. You can write them in a manner called function expressions or anonymous function. Okay, so for example, if I do it like this, okay, let var name is equal to function parameter 1, parameter 2, and I give a statement 1 in here, statement 2 in here, like this, right? So when you write it like this, the function just store, this particular function is just the value stored inside of the variable var name. Okay, so this function is stored inside the variable var name. Okay, these functions are called anonymous functions because they don't have a function name. See, I'm not giving function and a function name in here. Okay, I'm just creating a function with just the keyword function, and I'm assigning it to the variable name. So this function is called an anonymous function or a function expression. Okay, so because they don't have a function name. Alright, so let me create an actual function to show you the example. Let's declare a variable age, and to this, let's assign a function, an anonymous function, which accepts a parameter a, which has a default value 5, and then does a console.log of that age, just that. Okay, now what I can do is, okay, now what I can do is I can just do another console.log of age like this. Age can be used outside of the function now because it's not inside of the function block. It's a global variable. It's not local at all. So you can use it outside of the function. If I refresh, let's see what I'm getting. Okay. We are logging age in here, right? So age is actually whatever I wrote inside of this. Okay, so it has the entire function because that function was assigned to this particular variable. So when we log just age, we get the function definition. We get this particular function. It's the string representation. Okay, it's represented as a string. It's a string representation of that function. So that's what happens. So remember to use semicolon at the end of this. Okay, if you don't use that as well, it's going to still work. So far it has been working, but if you do use a semicolon in here, that's better because we are after all declaring a variable, so it's better to use a semicolon at the end. All right, okay, so if we just do a console.log of just age, we are getting the function definition as a string. Okay, what if we do it like a function call, just like that? So age now has the function. So if you just call age like this, what are you going to get? See, now I'm getting a proper function. I'm getting a proper call. Okay, I'm getting a console.log of a, which is 5, and then also a console.log of age, function call of age, which is undefined, but we don't want that as because I haven't returned anything. If I just do a refresh, okay, see, perfect. So now if I call age, it's going to run that particular function. Okay, so it works similar to a normal function. It's just that this was created as a variable and not in your function definition. Okay, and also you can copy this function. This entire function can be copied to another variable as well. So let's create another variable age1, and if I say age2, if I assign age to that, and if I do a console.log of age1, let's see what I get. See, I'm getting the same function that I created with age. Okay, that's because I can assign whatever is inside of age to age1, just like we do with other variables. And also I can call age1 now as a function. So what will happen when you do that is, see, I'm getting 5. Now that's because if I call age1, I'm getting a console.log like that. Okay, if it's going to run this particular function because age1 now has this particular a copy of this particular function. So if I call age1, it is going to run the console.log. Okay, so in the assignment though, in the assignment it should not be mentioned like this. It should not be like a function call, because if you do it like a function call, then only the return statement would be assigned to h1, then you won't be able to call it like this. Okay, if you assign the function call, see, you're going to age1 is not a function because once you assign the function call to a variable, you're just assigning the return value of that particular function. So if you want to assign the function itself, you have to assign without the parentheses like this, and that's when it's going to work as a function. Okay, so that's how that works. All right, so that's a basic overview of your anonymous function. So now what is the difference? So what is the difference between function declaration or definition, function declaration, the usual way of doing things, and expression? Okay, so the difference is that the function declaration, it can be called before it is declared. Okay, meaning that it can be executed before we reach the line of code where the declaration is present. Okay, so the declaration can be below the function call as well. So let me show you an example. So let me just call the function age like this. If I just leave it as that, as such, I'm gonna get an error because age is not defined yet. But after this, after this function call, I can give a function definition like this, and I can say console.log of a like this, and then let's see if it works. Sorry about that, I didn't open this function. Okay, let's put this function console.log inside of it. Yes, it does work. Okay, this line of code works. Now that's because the function call can be before the function definition and it would work. But if you try the same thing with your function expression, if I create something called age in here, and if I do the same thing with your function expression like this, how is it gonna work? See, I'm getting a reference error. Cannot access age before initialization. So for your function expression, your function call should always be after the function definition. Okay, after the function has been defined. So this is the major difference between function declaration and a function definition, function declaration and function expression. Also, function declarations created within code blocks, they have a block scope and they cannot be called from outside. We already saw that, remember? For example, if I have something like var bool is equal to true like this, and then let me create a condition that says if bool is equal to true like this, then define a function like this, a is equal to 5, and then do a console.log of a like this. Okay, and if I call age from outside in here, and let's do this. There you go. I'm getting an error that says age is not defined. Okay, now we're getting that error. Now that's because this entire thing, it has a block scope that is confined to the block now. So only if the if block is executed would this function be executed. So if you call this from within your if block, it'll work. But even then, see, now it'll work. Okay, but even then, if your bool was false, So even then that won't work. At least you won't get an error. You won't get an error, but the function call would not work. But the function call was outside when the if is not working and those things, you're going to get an error like this. So to get around this, you can use your function expression. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. We'll do a var bool is equal to true, and then let's create another variable called age outside of this. Okay, let's create age outside of this, and inside of here let's assign age to the function like this. Okay, so this is a global variable now, so it can be accessed from outside. So once I assign this particular function definition would just go to this variable, and so if I access it from outside, I'm going to get a console.log. Perfect, I'm going to get this. That's perfect, right? So we can declare the variable outside of the block as a global variable like we've done here, and then we can create a function expression like this and assign this variable to that. Okay, assign the function to this variable like that. Now we can call the function from outside of the block and it does work. Okay, so that's how that works. So by default, it's always better to use your function declaration, the usual way of doing this, because in that case you can call the function from anywhere even before you define the function. But in case you're creating a function within a block like this particular scenario, then you can use function expressions for this, but it's completely up to you. So if you do create function expressions for your functions, just make sure that your function call is after your function definition like this. After the function is defined with your function expression, then call the function. Okay, so that's something that you have to remember. So that's it for this particular lesson. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.